And we're seeing this in other ways. I mean, there was just a lot of news that dropped in the last couple of days, and one of the other ones is about the LEC. So, all right, here we go. Here we go. Again, another place where only this show can really talk about this, or Four Horsemen. But according to there's some rumors that have come out, and Infinite Reality. So Infinite Reality is
Great
a
name, by the
company.
way. Brilliant name, by the way, for esports. I love it already. Go on.
And also, you'll love this. Infinite Reality is like a Web3 company, apparently.
Even better.
Of course.
Even better. Because the real joke, obviously, being there's not enough reality in esports, but they're just including infinite reality. Go on, hit me with what this company's doing.
So, they're on Patreon. Eros, so Esports Maniacos made this announcement, and they did translate it into English. So I'm going to read it. According to sources close to Esports Maniacos, Koi would be allegedly in a critical situation, financially accumulating defaults in several areas throughout the year. On October 6th, 2022, we officially knew the merger of Infinite Reality Incorporated, Rect Global, which is the company that used to own Rogue, and Koi under the name of Koi. After almost 1 year of this merger, the situation in the club has reached a critical point. Infinite Reality is allegedly dragging problems of non-payment to the company's employees, as well as to the club's content creators and the club's own players. In addition to these problems, Infinite Reality is also allegedly having problems with the LEC license payments to Riot Games. These are the franchise payments, by the way, which could jeopardize Koi's license in the top European League of Legends competition. Now, this is the same shit that I've talked about previously, which is that, at least in the LCS, these payments have been suspended for a couple of years with interest, of course. I'm not sure about the
Overwatch League playbook, if people know that. Like when you get into trouble, because the main problem you have to understand is, much like the Overwatch thing, the worst thing that can ever happen is that the orgs publicly leave and sue you. So
or go bankrupt.
You're always going to do this approach. First things first, you say maybe you just don't have to pay as much, or you don't have to pay now. And then eventually, if it goes really bad, you do what I will do. You go, in fact, we'll pay you to leave, but please don't say anything bad. Yes. So this is not a good sign for the health of the league, by the way, that they've paused the payments.
Right. And it says they've been having problems. I don't know if they've paused it in LEC or not. So, but they could, and it's not unreasonable.
If you think of what's gone on the last few years.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable to think LEC could do this, or there could be a situation that would work out here. So that's actually not my biggest concern about this. So it says, due to the bad financial situation of the club, Ibai himself would have put from his own pocket a figure close to 3 million euros to try to alleviate the non-payments of the club, paying in full the salaries of some players / content creators, as well as the gaming house of the Superliga team.
By the way, just as an aside, holy fuck, what people won't get about that, Monty, is that's how, I guarantee you, that means this Ibai guy is on a totally different level, even to like the core streamers we know, like LS and Dom.
Oh, of course.
If he's putting 3 mil of his own money, that makes me think he makes like $50 million a year, guys. Like,
he does.
It'd have to be something insane like that for that to be like viable.
He literally had a stream that had 3 million concurrent viewers. I mean, he's one of the biggest streamers, if not the biggest streamer in the world right now.
In all regards. I'll always do it, mate. I'll always just be me. Don't worry about it. Listen, it's something I'll never get worried about. It's like, oh, you've said reality and the truth. Well, maybe reality needs to change, then you fucks. Anyway.
All this has led to a very big concern in the environment of Koi to see the project is lacking economic solvency and is generating a very large instability in the club to the point of considering the continuity of the project as such. Now, this is a very like word salad translated post, but we'll try and make the best sense of it as we could. So anyway, this situation is obviously troubling. So let's talk about, for people who don't get it, what happened with Infinite Reality and this merger with Rect Global. So Rect Global created Rogue. They owned the COD team, the London Royal Ravens, as well. And they sold, you'll love this, Thorin. They sold Rogue and Royal Ravens at a valuation of $470 million to Infinite Reality. Okay.
By the way, the reason that's actually insane is, if you know, one of the things that normally pisses me off about those valuations is no fucker ever sells. So fair play. At least that one actually was sold and someone for real paid that money. Fair play.
Wait. It wasn't actually a sale. It was an equity swap. There you go. Damn it.
So close. So close.
Because I was wondering when I saw that news, Thorin, I looked at it and I said, how could they afford, because allegedly Infinite Reality is a $2 billion company. I said to myself, how could they afford to pay 470 million and not have $3 million? So of course, Thorin, you know what I found out? I just dug into some of these articles and I found out that they were bought in stock. So Rex Global
no money ever changed hands,
was paid for the equivalent of $470 million of Infinite Reality stock. Something happened. I don't have the exact details, but it doesn't seem like cash actually changed hands, which then obviously results in how we could get to a place where they were negative $3 million because maybe they just never even had money in the first place, right? So, what was Ibai's deal? So, as far as I can tell, this was a branding deal. So, Ibai was bringing Koi, the Koi brand, his own co-stream for LEC that he runs, his audience, right? And probably in return for that, he got equity within Infinite Reality, right? So they're using his brand.
If people don't know, there's another famous example, which was Guild Esports, one I actually did consulting with a few years ago, where everyone will tell you, Monty, to this day, because the marketing worked, oh, you mean David Beckham's org? And it's like, no, David Beckham did a deal with them where part of his sponsorship money was then like to take it as stock, and then they say he is the owner. But they make it sound like he made the org, and it's like his brainchild, right. Which... I mean, let's be real. That's why, as far as I know, people think about Koi, right? So it sounds like a similar scenario.
The Koi brand, as far as I'm aware, belongs to Ibai. And so he is in a strategic partnership with Infinite Reality to give the Koi brand his stream, his brand over so that, they can, it's like what happened in Call of Duty League with Atlanta FaZe. Like FaZe is in a brand arrangement with the owners of the Atlanta FaZe COD team. It's not that FaZe actually owns that, right? It's or like what NIP is doing with V5 in LPL, right?
Which, by the way, I'll just throw this out there since it's an appropriate moment. Did you know? Because this is to do with NIP in theory, in all games, say it's not CSGO related. But if people don't know, Richard Lewis published a story recently that you got to go look at. It's mental. Basically, because they're now involved with the LPL in China, China's perspective, I could almost laugh myself to sleep at this as a premise, is we don't really want the league to be political, which just means we're the ones doing the fucked up political shit. Please don't mention that. And so because of that, NIP was told privately behind the scenes, and Richard has all the internal documents, basically
all the Slack chats.
Remove everything from your Twitter that ever supported Ukraine in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Because obviously people will know the country of China does a lot of business with Russia, and it's part of that BRICS association, which is like their version of NATO, sort of. So even though that means absolutely NIP has gone out of their way to scrub from history some fucking Room 101 1984 shit. That what do you mean? We never supported Ukraine. That's just the world we live in now, guys. The reason I bring that up is because I'm so sick of that whack narrative people are trying to sell now to be a sellout of well, maybe if we agree to work with China and Saudi Arabia, they'll move closer to our cultural positions. No, dickhead. The one with the money always sets the terms, and as has been proven in every case, you are moving towards their cultural standard, not the other way around. That's what the money's for. So anyway, it's just a quick aside story, but it's a banger if you hate scumbag orgs, because it shows how, if you actually get involved with the LPL, the reason I bring this up also, by the way, is people are implying TSM's going to do this. Well, I'll tell you what, the day TSM signs on, don't ever expect them to support the current thing you want to hear from. Don't ever expect them to plaster their org with Ukraine, Russia, LGBT. They won't do it. In this, essentially, it's implied you can't. You have to sort of stay clear of that sort of stuff, which is a big... I actually think that in itself, even though it looked like a small story, because people think it's just about dunking on NAP, I think that's a huge story, Monty. Essentially, a Western organisation, most famously based in Sweden, has just completely culturally bowed to China over what they can and can't do on Western social media. I don't know why that's a small story. To me, I would do a Four Horsemen on that topic, man. I think that's a mad one for me.
Well, especially because there are all these, Riot employees constantly virtue signaling on social media, and their own company is trying to suppress support for Ukraine in a war against Russia. It's kind of crazy. So that's the company these people work for, and they're just cool with it. They're just cool with it.
It's kind of crazy to me, I know.
So yeah, I think going back to the Ibai thing, the the brand sharing arrangement. So I think what's going on, though, it's unclear to me whether Ibai might pay the $3 million because the language is, in translation, or he has paid the $3 million. But the point is that Ibai is considering or has paid this money because I think he realizes that the PR damage to his own brand, even though he's not responsible for making these payments, right? Would be worse.
Putting your brand over the top. Like, they will think that it's you who did everything, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think maybe he thinks that it's worth $3 million perhaps and also, probably he wants to do right by the players. I would like to think there's some
maybe
nobility in this where, if he may want to, fix the wrongs that are made within the org, and make sure that people actually get paid for the work that they've done. But it sounds like an extremely serious issue, and another time where, we don't know what's going on with Infinite Reality, but I think the combination of the Web3 collapse plus the esports collapse probably hasn't done kind things to them. And Ibai is now sort of on the hook, at least in terms of PR, for whatever is going to happen with this. And also, this is just another thing that goes to show Ibai's co-stream for LEC is absolutely massive. He gets like 100,000 concurrent viewers at times, I think. And if he is unable to make money and this org is going out of business, even though they have potentially the best possible sales pipeline into LEC itself, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? Yeah, it's pretty wild. I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, like there's going to be more reporting that comes out around this, and maybe they sell their slot.
You can't help plebs, Monty, because they're going to think, because they're fucking morons with room temperature IQ. Like, but if he makes loads, what's the big deal? It's just 3 million. Like, literally, I won't even dignify that sort of thinking with like fucking respect. You're so stupid, it's impossible. If you think 3 million's nothing, you'll never have 3 million. That's actually how money works. Like 3 million is a lot, even if you make $400 million a year. That's how you keep $400 million. Like 3 million on something you don't need to spend it on is enormous, mate. Like I don't know why people think money works that way, mate. Like this as also, how are you going to justify this in your expenses? Like if it's 3 million now, what happens if next year it needs to be more? Like, do you even have is there a contingency plan here? Is there like a limit you hit and then you have to just bail and you're out 10 million? Like, this sounds really bad to me, mate. People are going to think this is no big deal. He's got the money for it. It's like, no, this sounds really bad. Like I was saying, mate, dude, they've only been in the game 1 year. How in 1 year are you minus 3 million already? And we're not talking minus 3 million. It's more than that, mate. As in, you have to directly cash inject 3 million now.
Yeah.
That implies, by the way, if you don't do that now, you just fucked immediately. Like as he's saying, notice what they say there that they very softly phrase, Monty, is about how a bunch of defaults would happen. The questions I have is, what are the defaults? Is the defaults like the league slot, in which case, by the way, if you default, you're not going to be allowed in the league anymore? Is it things like, I don't know, your facilities that you have, that maybe you have like a mortgage? What defaults are we talking about, dude? Because I don't think it is just salaries. Like this makes it sound really alarming. Like the company's fucked if he doesn't put his own money in.
Yeah, it does sound like that. They either can't raise more money, or the company is not willing to distribute that money to the organization because they have other ventures that they're working on that they'd rather spend the money into. So maybe they're just refusing to pay people for the work that they've done, or hoping that Ibai bails them out. But yeah, certainly it's a super bad look. I don't know. I don't know what you do with this if you're Infinite Reality. Just seems like another casualty of esports winter. But perhaps TSM will buy the old slot. You know what I mean? They were inquiring about Misfit slot previously. They were inquiring. I just
said it. My dream is Reginald's dream. I want him to get an LPL slot and then immediately have his entire life run by the Chinese Communist Party. That's my dream. My dream and his dream, same dream, it turns out. You know? That's all I want. That's all I want.
Oh, man. So, yeah, really, really rough. That's a lot of big news that we can only really talk about.
That's terrible, because remember, they were one of the success stories, Monty. It was supposed to be these orgs, Rogue joined with Koi, Misfits became, I think BDS was them, right? And then Schalke became Heretics. Maybe I got that the wrong around. Maybe it was actually Heretics that was Misfits. I think it might be that way around. But
yeah, it was Heretics that was Misfits. Yeah,
those orgs were the ones that moved over. Well, at the time, that was a mad success story because it was like, I mean, look, a lot of them were equity swaps as well. But you remember the reports were like 37 million euros for a slot, etc. At the time, that actually made people think, dude, just the slot sales alone mean this can be like a business and you can sort of invest and you can flip it sort of like a penthouse suite type scenario. This makes it sound like, one, nobody's actually moving giant Brinks trucks of money around. We're just doing equity swaps and like changing numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. And then also, secondly, that everything was overhyped and like it's all just kind of a facade and behind the scenes, everything in trouble. And like this is, people don't get it. The reason it's called the esports winter is everyone's getting fucked by this. And you've made, because stupidly you've made a global ecosystem. That means when something happens in America that fucks things up, it fucks things up for everyone in the other part of the world as well. So we're all in the boat on the same one on this one.
Yeah.
As I'm sure a bit last year, mate, everyone in the LEC was like, lol, who cares? It's just LCS. Like, it'll be coming for you as well, idiot. Where do you think your VC comes from? It all comes from bloody Silicon Valley, you idiots. Pretty much.
Yeah. Or celebrities. I think the funniest thing is that if you go to the Infinite Reality website, these are some of the same investors from Rec Global. It's like, you know, Steve Aoki and Imagine Dragons and a bunch of like DJs and musicians. Like,
oh yeah, he was with Rogue. Yeah, I remember that. The Steve.
He
Aoki
was.
guy,
yeah, he was.
Yes.
Steve Aoki was with Rogue. So it's the same people. But I mean, how much of the company do these people actually own? Right. That's always the question. Like 0.1%, or how much money did they really put in?
Also, you know, the other reason why I hate this idea, Monty, that people stupidly have, that the influencers will be the ones who will save us. It will be the disguised Toasts and the Tariks of the world who will make teams and then save us all with their incredible brands. Is you actual fucking idiots are so stupid, you are inadvertently trying to cargo cult create the fucking GGL hip hop league from the 2000s. That is one of the most famous meme shit concepts ever, in the, like, where Snoop Dogg actually was the commissioner and had actual rappers coming in and doing like team-based esports. Like, you're actually trying to like unironically create that though. And here's the reason, by the way, as a quick rant as to why that is a terrible idea. Notice how the disguised Toast guy came into League. He hasn't even been here like bloody 5 minutes. He came in and then did that classic obnoxious thing, which means I pray for you to fail, which is you come in and even though you've only been there 4 seconds, you go around going like you do the Jacob Wolf, you just go, everyone in this industry doesn't even bloody know what they're doing and I'm the only one who's figured it all out. Then 1 year later, you're in the hot seat going, I'm bloody losing loads of money running this team. Like, it's millions of dollars, you know. Do you know the costs are really high and like you don't make any revenue? But it's like, no shit. We all know that. The difference is people like Jack from day one have to run a functional business. You don't. What you do is you're a big influencer, which means your personal brand gets big sponsors and money. So what happens is you take this influx of money that at the moment doesn't come from the game, it comes from your brand, and then you stupidly chose to divert that money instead of like, you know, into your finances. You chose to divert it into one of the most notorious money pits in esports, having a team org. And then at the end you go, you know, I'm just losing all my own money here. And then idiot fans go, well, I'm actually not going to learn any of these lessons. Where's the next disguised Toast? It's like, you guys, you can't be helped. You cannot be helped. And half of you, by the way, are better doing that moron logic of that guy in the Twitch chat of like, but they make 10 million, losing 2 million is nothing to them. Bro, I wish you could just lose at that rate. I wish every time you made $100, you lost $20 of it. And I could just go, only 20, bro, you still got 80 left. Remember to pay the taxes on that 100 though. Like, I wish I could just do that to you. You deserve to actually be in that situation, because that was the thing that upset me the most about the LCS walkout, is I hoped when I revealed all the figures, people would just go like, whoa, this is like a really different scenario. That no, people just petulantly went like, well, if they can't make money, I guess everyone just deserves to lose money and just close the LCS down. It's like, that's your solution. It's just like to flip the board like a little kid having a tantrum and just say, let's all go home. I'm taking the ball. Like, because that solution is not a solution, Monty. I know they think it's going to happen because there's this Valorant push where like, oh my God, maybe like Ben Affleck will buy a team and then Ludwig and Moist Critical will buy in. Like, even if they do, all you're doing for real is, like I say, because they essentially have like a luxury brand where they're getting all this money as a personal influencer. Yeah, for a short time, they can chuck a bit more fuel on the fire, as it were. But eventually they're going to run out of money and they're going to need to pay. And then secondly, all you've done is push our problem a year or two down the line. You haven't ever solved it in any way. Like, by the way, I actually think for real, if that was a viable strategy, I think someone like Riot or Blizzard would have done this. If they really could have done like an Overwatch League just with like massive influencers, and that was not, I think someone would probably have tried that. I don't think it works long run. Like I say, to me, it's just you have a bit more money that you can just piss away, and then eventually even you're going to face the exact same organizational problem.
I do think Disguised Toast has valid criticisms about the shittiness of brands within the esports space. And influencers are good at building brands. This is true. But the problem and why they can't be the messiah, Thorin, is that their business is vastly different than the esports business, right? Because
it's like the thing about TSM. It's like the joke with TSM is this. The reason it never made sense to say we make money, but it's from all the guides, not the team. It's like, then why have the team, you idiot? Just get rid of the team and only make money off the guides at that point. Like, again, why would you take a healthy business and connect its life force to a dying business that only survives vampirically by like sucking the life force out of living businesses? Like, in that scenario, it's like, then I don't see what the upside for them in esports is, basically.
Right. You should just spin off the team. And provide the owner the license to use the TSM brand for the team.
Perfect, right?
Right. Yeah, I think when you look at it though, the way that people like Disguised Toast or Ludwig make money, a lot of the time it is through direct contributions from their viewers. A lot of their revenue comes from subscriptions, donations, right? These things where users.
That's the thing. When they have the goal to be like this, your financial model doesn't work. Hey guys, the top donator today, I'll be writing your name around my bunghole with a Sharpie later. Like, yeah, I wonder why Jack can't get your fucking deals, you cretin. Like, maybe he has like some decorum or like dignity in a human soul or something. I don't know, bro. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out as I go.
So it's just very different because the thing is that people, for whatever reason, and we don't know the answer to this, but they are willing to pay $5 a month to Dr. Disrespect, but they are unwilling to pay $5 a month to Cloud9. Why is that a thing? I don't know. It might just be a perception thing, parasocial relationships with an individual. We could guess a million different reasons as to why that is. But overcoming that gap has been the biggest problem. The reason why Twitch will not pay for media deals within esports is because esports doesn't make them as much money per user on the website as somebody who watches XQC. Right? And when somebody pays for a subscription, Twitch is getting a cut of that every single time. But when there are no subscriptions or direct user support on the esports channels, then there's no more revenue. So why would you pay a premium to esports that generate less revenue per viewer? Right? Why would you pay for a media rights deal? Doesn't make any sense. So, I think that these influencers coming in, while they themselves may be able to directly monetize their audience. And maybe there will be a way that they can do that with a team. However, the fact that no team has ever successfully done that, even with major influencers on board, like if it were true, then why is Rogue/Koi in a giant hole right now? They have one of, if not the biggest streamer on the planet affiliated with their brand. And apparently they are $3 million in debt. And by the way, it's only $3 million. If you have a streamer who can get 3 million concurrent viewers and you can't make an additional $3 million, that is a huge fucking problem. Huge problem. So I suspect that it's just not possible to convert esports viewers in the same way that you convert them monetarily as an individual streamer. Oh yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's tough, and I don't know the solution to that. But I don't think that people have this magical thinking. And every time I hear, well, what about the LCS? It's like, well, get Mr. Beast in there and get Disguised Toast in there, etc. It's like it might bring more viewership, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be profitable or that it will convert to sponsorships, right?
The real solution is actually obvious. The only way we'll ever teach these motherfuckers is they're going to have to actually be burned themselves, Monty. So the solution isn't a meme. You need to do Reddit Players LCS. You all need to pitch in $10 and we'll get together a nice big kitty of 20 million and we'll buy you a slot and we'll put in the players that you guys want. And when we then in 2 years, again, are like, we've got no money, you've lost it all, the burn rate's insane. You'll go, but this business doesn't make sense. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what we will tell you the whole time. Because one thing I do hate about the influencer thing, because of the parasocial relationship, is somehow, Monty, I'll never understand how myself. Somehow, because someone likes Disguised Toast streaming, when he signs a check for a pro player, Monty, he's a great guy. But when Jack, who I know inarguably has made me people millionaires in esports and done tons of good things, when he signs a similar check, he's an exploitative piece of shit. I'll never understand the connection myself. Is it because Jack doesn't draw people's names around his butthole with a fucking Sharpie? Is that the real problem he has there? Is that the sort of like communication messaging issue we're having at this point in time? And also, technically, this is unconnected to anything I've just said. I have thought of away sentinels that you might be able to make some more revenue.
Oh my God, don't you do
Pretty
it.
good. This is unconnected. What are you talking about? Unconnected.
Don't say what it is. You know, you can just imagine that in your own mind.
Unconnected.
Unconnected. Completely unconnected.
Yeah.
Completely unconnected to other things.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.